America. If you've been a listener of mine for, gosh, it's almost been 10 years now of me on the radio, then you might remember a time when my radio show was based in comedy. But today, over the last 10 years, I have found myself in a position where I never intended on being. And there's a lot of stuff that I do that I don't want to. Recently, I got a lot of heat for telling Forbes magazine that my company is an entertainment company, but only after they printed half of that quote from that conversation were people saying that. When they went back and they wrote another story and finished the rest of the line, people understand what I was saying. My company is an entertainment company, but I find myself now in a position where I believe the republic is on fire. And the quote said that I don't think sending a cartoon dog out with a fire hose is the way to put it out. The reason why I tell you this is because I think our lives are about to change. Man, we have been so lucky. We are the luckiest people on the face of the earth. We really are. We have lived at a time where freedom and technology have been at man's zenith. Never before has life been like it has been when we were growing up. Not even for our parents or our grandparents. I mean, this was a pretty sweet gig we have going for us. And unfortunately, it's time for us to be the greatest American generation. Because we're not just protecting our republic for us. This isn't a selfish thing. This is for our children. Quite honestly, and I find myself talking more and more about God lately, because I think that's where our solution lies, with God. This land, if you believe the founders, was founded through divine providence. I think our country has changed so dramatically in the last year, and we're entering dangerous, dangerous territory. Last night I turned on the computer and I turned on the Drudge Report, and I saw that Time magazine and Joe Klein said that I was engaging in sedition. I don't even understand how speaking out now can be sedition, but that's what Klein said about me and also Sarah Palin and then Rush over the weekend. Here's how he laid it out.
I did a little bit of research just before the show. It's on this little napkin here. I looked up the definition of sedition, which is conduct or language inciting rebellion against the authority of the state. And a lot of these statements, especially the ones coming from people like Glenn Beck and to a certain extent Sarah Palin, were right up close to being seditious.
Well, and this is, and Joe's right, and they'll name another person, name Rush Limbaugh, who uses this phrase, constantly talks about the Obama administration as a regime.
Okay, first of all, the napkin makes me think that maybe, Joe, you should spend a little more time researching. The only piece of evidence he cited is that Rush uses the word regime. Well, maybe John should have done a little napkin journalism, and Googling before he went on the air as well. It may have helped him find out that the term regime was used 6,500 times to refer to the Bush administration since January 20th, 2001. The host he was talking to used the term to describe Bush, and Helaman himself used regime to describe the Obama administration at least 4 times. So I'm trying to figure out how they can use the word regime, and it's not a problem, but Rush uses it. How is it seditious to say the Democrats and the Republicans spend too much money? What is seditious about telling people to get involved, know your candidates before you vote? I love my country. I don't hate the government. I hate what we have all of us, allowed our government to become. And not just with Obama, but for the last 100 years. I didn't wake up to this until, what, 5 years ago. I disagree with him. And I disagree with the progressives a lot. They think the Constitution is a living, breathing document that needs to change with the times. I do not. That's fine. Let's have that conversation. I take him at his word that he fundamentally wants to transform the country. I'm just asking the question, into what? Get the real debate in the open. If that's seditious, Who are we? You know, I think I may be the most naive person in America. But then I meet you. I think we all were on September 11th. A year ago, I really thought that if I could prove this, if I could lay out the evidence, somebody from ABC or CBS or someplace, they would take the evidence and they would disprove it, or they would join me. I don't think anybody really wants to tell the truth anymore in America, unless it's involving money or power. I don't know what it is. Here's the truth. The truth is the president is surrounded by radicals who want to fundamentally transform the country. And if they told you the truth, they'd admit, and they wouldn't mean it in a negative way, they would admit our agenda is radical. Good. But somehow or another, they're playing this game where they need to convince America that somehow they're not the radical ones, but America is radical. That you are. If I would have said, hey, what do you say we socialize the, what do you say we socialize the banks and we socialize the car companies and we give what's going to turn into universal health care, what do you say we do all of that in the first year? Nobody would have voted for that. But they got it done. Imagine the bravado needed to believe that you can convince Americans that America is the problem. I mean, that's amazing. That's like somebody breaking into your house at night and, you know, hold you at gunpoint, and the police arrive, and the bad guy who's wearing all black, and he's got the stocking cap on, and he's got the knife, and he's holding it, and you're in your pajamas, and the bad guy looks at the police and says, you gotta arrest this guy. He just broke into my house. You'd be standing there just blinking at the cop like, is it just me? He's holding the knife, officer. How do people not see this? Lack of honesty. I'm reading about the Tea Party goers, and I'm hearing what Bill Clinton said about the Tea Party goers. These people are peaceful, polite, friendly. Look at them. They're your grandparents, for the love of Pete. These people are either your parents or your grandparents. Somehow or another, they're raging people. It doesn't make any sense at all. We're being shoved into a place where you can't stand. I think there's a setup going on, quite honestly, and the idea is to convince you that you are the radical, the one out of the mainstream. And the administration, the former radicals, are an American monument. You know, in 1776, they fired bullets. The Tea Party, they don't need bullets. They just want to fire politicians. That's what they want to do.